Welcome. It's Rebecca Yusan here with eXp Realty, and I'm super excited today. I get the opportunity to interview an old friend of mine, Cedric Lewis. Cedric Lewis is the Assistant Branch VP of Coldwell Banker in Annapolis, Maryland. And he is going to help us continue with our series of the good, bad, and the ugly of real estate. Cedric, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on, Rebecca. I was really excited to be able to do this, and it's funny that you consider me an old friend. I need to, I'm getting old, but I get it. That's okay. I'll take that one.
Well, we've known each other for many years.
Okay.
We met maybe back in 2008.
Yes.
And see, that's a long time ago.
It really is.
We actually met at a training for a company called Hometown America.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great Hometown America was a great company to work for. Learned quite a bit, a different part of the industry that I probably never would have gotten into had I not taken that position.
Yeah.
So that was exciting.
Definitely. That was such a great opportunity for us. It was such a good company and great people. And I definitely learned a lot. Definitely was fun being at the top of my game.
It was. We challenged each other. We pushed each other, which was a friendly competition, which I think I won. But okay, I digress.
Yeah, we'll just leave that one right there. So anyway, let's get started. So Cedric, tell me how many years you've been a licensed realtor.
I became licensed now. I've been licensed now for about, I started off as a loan officer back in 96, 99, 90, 97, around that time frame. So I was there for about 3 years. And then after that, I became licensed somewhere in 2000. So I've been in the industry altogether now for, when I look at it, I just kind of shake my head. It's been about 26 years since I've been doing it. So it's really exciting, and it's something that has a lot of ups and downs. I think I've seen every part of the business so far, so it's just really been an enjoyable ride.
Yeah, I agree. So tell me which markets you're currently serving.
So right now, my office is in Annapolis, Maryland. It's right outside of Washington, D.C., probably 15, maybe 17 miles west of D.C. I'm sorry, east of Washington, D.C. And so that's in the Washington metropolitan area, that which encompasses Maryland, DC, and Virginia. They're all kind of wrapped there together.
Okay, very good. So tell me what you were doing before. You said maybe around 1996, 97, you became a loan officer. What
Yeah.
were you doing before you got in the industry?
Oh, you're going to toss that out there. So beforehand, I was actually a professional basketball player. I played at the University of Maryland, which is over here. And so
Yes.
at that time, I played for the University of Maryland. Then when I left the University of Maryland, I had an opportunity to go overseas and play basketball professionally. I also played with the Washington Bullets when they were the Washington Bullets. Now they're called the Wizards. And the good thing about that is that I had a lot of time on my hand. So the entire time that I was playing basketball, I studied real estate. The only aspect that I didn't know about the business at the time was the financing portion of it. So that's when I became a loan officer. When I finally retired from basketball in '96, I became a loan officer just to get a part to learn that part of the business. And then from there, I've worked with Pulte Homes. I've also had an opportunity to work with some great builders, Mid Atlantic Builders, which is a local builder here. Pulte was more so of a national builder. I've worked with KB Homes also, and then as you alluded to earlier, Hometown America. So, and now I'm here as a licensed agent.
Wonderful. So you said you were studying financing and real estate. Why were you doing that?
I've always, so professional sports, I had an understanding going into it that it wasn't something that was going to last forever. I retired from professional basketball when I was 96 years old. I'm sorry, 26. I feel 96 now, but I retired when I was 26 years old
Okay.
from playing professional sports. Something that I did from the time that I was probably 2 or 3 years old was now finally, which I saw coming to an end because due to injuries. And I've always had a fascination with real estate, even before playing basketball. I could think back to when I was a kid. I used to build card house. You take a deck of cards, and I would build houses with those cards. So at a very young age, I've always been fascinated with homes, and this is what I wanted to do once I retired from it. So it's just a natural transition for me.
Interesting. Okay. So tell me about that first year as a licensed realtor. What was it like? Did you have any closings? Did you actually make any money? Tell me about it.
When I first started as an agent, so being in the finance business, I had a different leg up than the average agent because I had somewhat of a clientele. Now, starting off in the mortgage industry, trying to get the clientele for real estate, it was difficult starting off in the mortgage industry first because I had to convince people to use me and understand that the interest rates that to give them the good feeling that I understood the mortgage industry. And being totally honest, as a basketball player, that's not, people still saw me as Cedric the basketball player. So I had to kind of convince them that, hey, I really know what I'm talking about. Just providing them with the proper data and giving them solutions as opposed to, helping them solve a problem with their mortgage solutions. So going into real estate, that kind of gave me a small book of business because I knew who owned homes. And the biggest thing about when you start off as a real estate agent is reaching into your sphere of influence, friends, family. But luckily for me, I had an influence of people that I knew owned homes, and they dealt with me in some capacity in the real estate industry.
So when you first got started, maybe the first and second year, did you have to make any changes to your lifestyle or your living situation to make it work financially?
Um, Once again, so I've been a little bit more fortunate than the average real estate agent. Now, I will say there is an investment starting off. I was a former professional athlete, so fortunately, I was able to invest what I was fortunate enough to earn a pretty good living ahead of time and kind of plan my situation out. Um, and I would say for those that are thinking about getting into the business, planning is key. Whether you're doing a regular 9 to 5 or you're just going to go into it pretty cold, you definitely want to plan and understand that there are steps to do that. So yes, so there was a financial change, but then after I was able to tap into the sphere of influence and then get into tap into my the people that I knew, friends, family, and past clients, that made the money come a little easier.
Yeah. So I never like to assume, but I'm assuming you did not have to have a full-time or a part-time job when you
Correct.
first started.
You're absolutely correct about that.
Yep.
And like I said, that's where I was able to kind of get a leg up because it does take a lot of time to tap into your friends and understand it's not just saying, hey, Rebecca, do you want to buy a house today? It's more so just saying, hey, I'm Cedric, I finally changed my career. I'm no longer a professional athlete, but if you know anyone who would like to purchase a home or sell a home, feel free to use me. This is what I'm doing now. And it's just making that introduction. I have agents that come to me now in my office. They're asking me for advice on how to further their business. And one of the things that I tell them is not to be afraid to just put that no one wants to contact their friends. They feel that they're bothering them, but don't most for the most part of it, your good friends, your family, they're going to want to support you, and they're going to be willing to tell people about you. And that's what I kind of found out coming into the business.
Yeah, that's really good advice, Cedric. Thanks for that. So, as you got going and you were making some big money and making some good sales, did you ever do anything that made you question your judgment?
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Wow. In which matter? Are we talking real estate now?
We're talking real estate still.
Okay. All right. Well, real estate, it brings all types of challenges. There are code of ethics that we want to make sure that you continue to follow. And the biggest problem is that sometimes you're not able to help everybody, and you feel like, okay, maybe if I do X, Y would happen, but you have to refer back to the code of ethics and make sure that you stay on the straight and narrow because you have a lot to lose by going outside of the box sometimes. And when I say going outside of the box, just doing things that may not be conceived as ethical.
Yeah.
So you really have to be careful when you have a real estate license, because you not only impact yourself, but you can impact the broker who's actually in charge of you. Everything that a licensee does as an agent, it affects the upper portion of it. So we can screw up, and the broker loses their license. So you really have to be mindful of that going into the business.
Yep. So definitely following the code of ethics is the way to go. But one thing I always tell my new agents is you don't know what you don't know. So
Absolutely.
did you ever get caught up in doing something that you didn't even know was wrong?
It's funny. I'm currently taking a broker's course right now, and I'm discovering that not only myself, but a lot of people have been doing a lot of things wrong in the industry. And it's just something as simple as one of the questions on the exam that I can remember is vividly. It says, if you receive an offer and it has mistakes on it, and it has, this may be missing signatures, missing price, whatever the situation is, you're still supposed to submit that offer to your client. If you're the listing agent, you're still supposed to submit that offer to your client. But small things that you didn't know, because it's something that you don't. Okay, Rebecca, I received your contract. We were missing this, or maybe a signature is missing on page 5. As opposed to calling you, I'm just supposed to submit it to my client, and if they accept your offer, we're supposed to fix it then. But a
Oh,
lot of times I would call and say, hey, Rebecca, here, you know what? Can you send this back to me? Make this correction, and send it back. Real estate, that's actually wrong. For per law, that's wrong. So
yeah.
there's little small things that you say you don't know until you know. Um, there are those things, because a lot of things, after you take the final licensing, the pre-licensing class, it's a lot of information you actually purge. So
Yeah.
and you never see it again.
Yep. This industry, you've been around for a little while and you've seen a few different types of markets now.
Yes.
Has there ever been a time that you've just said, enough? I cannot take this up and down anymore. I quit.
I can't say I came to the point where I wanted to quit, but it's you kind of have to see the trends coming. Like right now, I do see a trend that's actually starting to bubble up now, which it's getting. I don't want to say I'm scared, but it kind of brings the flags are going up a little bit. When I say flags are going up, there are a lot of buyers out there on the market right now, but there's no inventory. And so now what I'm starting to see is that the interest rates are starting to creep up a little bit. Now, keep in mind, when I started in the industry as a loan officer, interest rate at the time frame was maybe 8.75, and
Yes.
people were calling me, "Hey, I need to refinance my house. These interest rates are great. These interest rates are great." So now we've seen just recently interest rates drop as low as 2%, 2.25, and now they're starting to creep up again. I think just last week it might have hit 5%, maybe a little higher. So I see that trend starting to change a little bit. Prices are still very high. They're like 44% higher, but there's still not a lot of inventory. So
Yeah.
so it's still, right now we still have a perfect seller's market, but I think it's going to change fairly soon.
Yeah. With those raising interest rates, that could knock a lot of buyers
Right,
out. They
right,
won't be able to afford that payment anymore, or they
exactly.
won't want the home that they can afford because it's not
Exactly,
something.
and that's what you're absolutely correct, and that's what I actually see, that trend is getting ready to come, and it does affect your buying power. So, when you know these things, I think as an agent, to kind of keep you from becoming discouraged, you stay abreast of what's going on in the market, and you're able to adjust to what's happening, and educating your clients on the trends and the changes. Now is a good time for agents to call those people that have been sitting on the market, saying, you know what, I was thinking about selling my house, but I want to wait to see what happens. Now's the time to sell.
Now
Now's
is.
the time to sign. And so,
Yep.
and buyers are still, they're still hungry to find homes. So,
Definitely. So, as you've grown and learned and your business has changed over the years, what has your role become now? Your everyday, what does that look like now?
So now my everyday, I'm no longer in the field. I'm more so of a coach. I kind of related to when I was playing basketball. After I finished playing basketball, I was done playing. Of course, I would play pickup every now and then, but
Of course.
as far as actually being on the court, I started coaching. So I would coach kids. So now I'm coaching real estate agents on how to be successful in the market, and how to recognize certain trends. So that's my everyday role now. Putting out fires and things of that nature. So, which there can be a lot of fires in real estate.
Yes, there can be. And that's why it's so important as a new agent to have someone that you can go to and ask questions and get the training and hear the good, the bad, and the ugly of what your trainer has gone through so you don't make those same mistakes.
You're absolutely correct. I think that's the biggest trend. You want to surround yourself with people that are able to do so, because and I'm not going to pretend that I know everything in real estate, but I have been through some situations through several different types of markets, and
Yeah.
just having that type of person in the background, and then are actually surrounding yourself and building a culture of people that have that same type of knowledge is really good too.
Yeah, for sure. So, my last question, Cedric, is about what do you think is coming? There's so much competition out there as far as companies,
Mm.
internet companies, people, money, interest rates going up. There's just so many things changing in our industry. What is your outlook of what is to come?
Um, I think we're just going to see a kind of balancing point with between buyers and sellers pretty soon. Um, Once they allow foreclosures to probably kind of take place again, we're going to see a big portion of those come to the market, possibly.
You think possibly foreclosure?
I think so. I think so, because because of COVID and the past couple of years with what's actually going on, the real estate industry has taken a hit. Some people hadn't paid mortgages for a while, and once banks maybe possibly foreclose on those homes are going to come onto the market. So I think we're going to see a big portion of homes that are there now. Interest rates, because they are rising. Uh, but when I say the interest rates are rising, don't get me wrong. There's no need to panic. Of course, yes, they're not 2% anymore. They're not 2.25% anymore, but they're still historically low. Like when I started off, people were finding they were jumping ship to come into an 8.75 interest rates, which
Yeah.
means they were leaving 12, 10% interest rates at the time. So historically, we're still fairly low. And but the industry is just it just takes time to balance itself out, and but it's still fairly strong. Like I said, prices are still pretty high. I looked at Florida there at 44.5%. Grand Rapids is the top third nation. I mean the one of the top three cities in price increases. So
Yeah,
the
because of
industry,
low inventory.
yeah. So prices are increasing everywhere, but then, like I said, the inventory is going to catch up fairly soon.
Very good. Well, I like that outlook for sure.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
positive. You have a house you want to buy or sell?
We'll talk about that later. Well, Cedric, thank you so much for your time. This is going to be valuable information for those new agents or even those seasoned agents that just aren't really feeling it anymore and they need a
Yeah.
jump start or just to understand that what they're going through is normal. So I appreciate your time and I wish you all the best for the rest of this year with you and your team.
Rebecca, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed doing this. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
All right. Well, you take care.
You too.
All right.